Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Women Who Lead Network. I'm excited that you're here today. I'm excited um, that you're coming on today. Definitely appreciate this. I know that it's been a crazy week, right? It's like everything that can happen in a week happened, and I'm just really excited that we're got some good stuff coming up, y'all. I'm excited because 2026 is going to be a phenomenal year. I can't wait for 2026. And I cannot believe it's like we have like 2 weeks left. And when we think about it, um, it's not that long of a time if you think about it, right? It's coming up very quickly. I'm doing multiple things right now. So just really excited about that. So let's keep it moving, y'all. Let's go on. Okay. So, I got in the mail. So today, what we're going to be talking about is how are you taking ownership of being a leader? A leader, if you're a leader in your organization, specifically an engineer leader or any type of leader, right? But either you're a leader of people or you are a leader of a project, right? Like a project leader. So, and we're going to talk about that and what happens when you take ownership of that or when you don't. Okay. So I got in the mail, it's the season and I love a good sale. So I got in the mail some candles, right? They came in this huge box. And who doesn't like to open up huge boxes? But anyway, in each individual box, there was a candle. So each individual candle was wrapped up in a box. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. America's Most Loved Candle brand. And I was like, yo, that's excellent because they are actually marketing themselves, right? And you don't know what's inside the candle. So you have to open it and, see the name. But when you smell, it's like, oh, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And the reason why I bring this up is that as a leader in an organization, when people meet you, what is it that they say about you when they first meet you before they open up the box, right? So you, the person, is the box. And this says America's Most Loved Candle brand. What are you? When people meet you, what does your box say? What is it saying to them? Right? And then when you open up your mouth, like I'm opening up this candle and it smells absolutely delicious, what's coming out of your mouth that makes them know that you're a leader? What's coming out, right? What is it that is being said? What are you saying that they're like, yep, that's the leader? So that's what we're going to talk about today is that, what are some of the things that it takes on how you stewarding your leadership role. And so my name is Uche Maple, where we talk about everything in welcome to the Women Who Lead Network, where we talk about everything in entrepreneurship, leadership, and living a purpose-driven life. And I'm just really excited. Let's get into it because today has been a really, really busy day. So if you are a leader in an organization, this could be a business leader, engineering leader, project manager, leader of teams, a directorate, whatever it is, this is for you, right? So most engineering leaders are trained to solve problems, manage risk, and deliver results. That's for all of us, right? But there is an untrained side of leadership that no one has warned you about. There is an untrained side of leadership that no one has warned you about. And it's the reason talented teams. So if you have a team and you're wondering like, yo, my team is not engaged, I don't hear anything from them. I feel like they're leaving quietly. What's going on? That's what's happening. And need to be prepared on that. So why are your teams disengaging? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about taking ownership and what happens when you develop your leadership gift and what happens when you don't. Show of hands right now. Come on, guys, put in chat. Tell me where you're coming from. How many of you think that you have the gift of leadership? And if you do, people have told you. So how many of you have the gift of leadership, and how are you stewarding? How are you taking ownership of that leadership? All right. So here's the first one. Your leadership capability does not start with a title. If someone told you that, they lied to you. It doesn't start with a title. You've already had the title. Okay. And the moment people begin watching how you think, decide, or respond, you're already leading. So if you are in a leadership role, or if you want to be one, people are already watching how you operate and how you behave. So you're already leading. And in engineering organizations, leadership, hear me, leadership is treated as a reward for your technical excellence. So that could be any organization. Okay, I'm just using engineering as an example because I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for the last 22 years. But that is an example. You could be a person who is great at statistical analysis. And they're like, oh, well, we think that you'll be great leading people. But the reality is that leadership is an inherent gift. Once influence exists, responsibility follows. So what that looks like is that once you get that ownership, you have to do it to the best of your ability. And you have to take ownership of that. And ownership means that you're recognizing that leadership doesn't wait for permission. How many of you guys are waiting for permission? To lead, to do anything. You don't wait for it. It shows up the moment impact. Whenever you're impactful, that's when leadership shows up. And that's where leaders either step up or shrink back. So the second thing that happens when you are not taking ownership of your leadership skill is that when it's not owned, when leadership isn't owned, nothing breaks immediately. So what that looks like, that means that everything is still working. But the reality is that it's eroding in the background. Things are quietly breaking. Engineers stop offering ideas and questions go unasked. Your teams comply, but they stop contributing. So what that looks like is this. If you are leading a high-performing team, or if you have a position of influence and you're not doing what you need to do, which is engaging with people, having conversations with people, getting to know people, people are not going to mess with you. They're not going to trust you. And your job as a leader is to take ownership of their role, because people are trusting you to do right by them. And when you don't, they can't trust you. And what happens is they'll leave your circle. They won't be around you. So you have to understand and decide, what is it that you want to take ownership of? Are you going to lead or not? And it's not about a motivation. It's about you as a leader owning the influence that you already have. How are you managing that? How are you taking ownership of that? And the reality is that when you don't take responsibility of the roles that you have and you've been given, it comes at a cost. You know what that cost is? That cost is mental health costs. That cost is a financial cost. That cost is a upward mobility cost. It impacts everyone, and it would definitely impact you. And you don't want to be known as the person who doesn't, they have the title, but they're not taking ownership. They're not delivering the results that people are expecting. The third one is that your character develops as you're becoming a better leader. And oftentimes what we see is that the immature character, it quietly disqualifies capable leaders. So what does that look like? What that looks like is that when you are in a room and when people are asking questions and you know the answer and you're sitting there quietly, not saying anything, that's what that looks like. and your character is being developed, and it needs to be developed as you're doing this. So here's the part that no one warned you about. Leadership skills can be trained, but character has to be developed. And when leaders don't own their growth, it eventually disqualifies you from the most capable leaders. That's why, if you think about it, some people you're like, yo, they're like technically brilliant. They're like extremely smart, extremely experienced, but they can't be trusted because they're not consistent. And here's the thing, your skill may open the door, but your character, your integrity, what comes out of your mouth determines whether people believe you should stay in the room. Your character will determine whether or not you should stay in the room. If people can't trust you, they don't want you there. And in environments where decisions carry weight, your character is not optional. It is critical. It is foundational. You know, I learned this personally a couple of years ago. When here's another candle I have, y'all. And you know what's interesting is, before I tell the story, this candle says the world's best 3-wick candle guaranteed. That's what this one says. It says guaranteed. How many of you can guarantee that you're the best at what you do? How many of you can guarantee you're the best at what you do? Tell me. Can you guarantee you're the best at what you do? Because, I mean, this box is actually obviously saying that it is. Can you guarantee you're the best at what you do? And I learned this the hard way. I took on a role and I was like, no, I don't want to be a leader. Nancy can have it. I'll just support Nancy. And as we got more and more into the project, it became very obvious Nancy was good, but she wasn't great. There were a lot of things that were not getting answered, emails, follow-ups, just things not getting done. And I remember this, and I was complaining to my friend, and she said, Uche, you cannot be a backseat leader. You should have taken it. And I was like, yo, you're right. But to some extent, I was feeling like I wasn't ready. I was downplaying my gift. And one thing I will tell you is this: whatever gift that you have been given that is natural, you have the responsibility to nurture it. You have the responsibility to take ownership of it, to grow it, to fuel it, because the people that you're interacting with needs it. And when you don't take ownership of it, it actually puts not just you, but the people around you at a disadvantage, because people can't trust you to do what you need to do. Does that make sense? That's exactly right. Thank you, Borma, for coming on. Definitely appreciate it. So how are you stewarding your gift? It could be any gift. I'm talking about leadership. It could be, are you an encourager? Are you a person who does hospitality? Are you a person who loves to serve people? Are you a person who likes to speak life into people? What do you do? How are you stewarding your gift? Because when you don't steward it, meaning taking ownership of it, you lose it. And when we say that you lose it, what does that mean? That means that the thing that came very natural to you, when it's time for you to get on stage and for you to demonstrate it, you're a loss of words. And I said this to myself when my friend was like, yo, don't be a backseat leader. That was a changing point for me. I said, I would never, you see my face? Never. I would never be a backseat leader again. I had to learn to take ownership of what I was naturally gifted at. And I had to learn how to grow it and to nurture it and to feed it and to get people around me who didn't mind correcting me, directing me, and rejecting me. Oh, yeah. That was some words right there. So you have to be in an environment where you are allowed to grow and nurture it, but you got to take ownership of it. You have to learn how to take ownership of it, right? So just don't mute it. And the cost of holding it back, when I say the cost of holding back, that I'm being serious, it messes everyone up, including yourself. You know how you can be so great at something, and when you start learning how to use it and it's like working, you're like, this is great. And it takes you a shorter time. It might take you a year, right? But other times, because you didn't nurture it, it can take you 10 years because we didn't want to take ownership of it. So don't be that person. Steward your gifts, take ownership of it. And here's the thing, that's when I realized leadership doesn't punish you for being gifted. It exposes you when you refuse to own it. Okay? Okay? Leadership doesn't punish you for being gifted. It exposes you when you refuse to own it. And none of us want to be uncovered. All right. So this is what I'm going to say before I get off. Mama going to bring this up again. But like, Uche, why do you keep bringing up the candle? I keep bringing it up because I thought it was just good for me. I talked about this at the beginning of the live. I ordered some candles and each candle came into its own box. And when I read the box, it said America's Most Loved Candle brand. So it's advertising itself, right? And this is how you have to look, because this box came into my home. I was expecting it, but it came into my home, and the way that it was packaged threw me. But when I saw that it says American Most Loved Candle, I said, whoa, all right. You have to think this way. When you have a gift and you are coming into someone's house, someone's office, someone's boardroom, someone's meeting room, how are you showing up? Because I know from the outside, this is America's Most Loved Candle. When you come into the room, are you the leader they need? Or are you the leader that they don't need or they don't want? And when I open up this box, right, and when I see the candle, not only is the package beautiful, but I can't wait to light it because I know exactly how it's going to smell. Amazing. When you open your mouth in that room, in that boardroom, in that meeting with executives, how do you smell? Do you smell like you know what you're talking about? Are the words coming out of your mouth what they expected and what they hired? You want to take ownership of what you were given. Because the moment you come into someone else's house, your brand starts. And you want a brand of consistency, reliability, technical excellence, a leader, and a person people can depend on. Are you that person? So leadership is in you. The only question is whether or not you're owning it or leaving it unmanaged. Because what you don't own in yourself eventually becomes what your organization lacks. What you don't own yourself eventually becomes what your organization lacks. And what your organization lacks is what they go find. And when they find it, where will you be? Don't give them a reason to go anywhere else. You have everything you need as a leader to transform, inform, and cultivate where you are. Okay? All right. So if this resonates with you, type own it in comments. Type own it in comments. And thank you for showing up. Everyone have a good evening. And until next time, bye-bye.